Hello and welcome to the Awakening Collective. Hayley here. Very excited to have you with me today for episode 11. We are talking about how to tame, putting that in air quotes for those of you listening on the podcast, your ego. Now, the ego gets a really bad rap, you guys, and I want you to just feel sorry for that part of you just for a minute. That little part of you that is just always trying to keep you safe and secure, and that little part inside of you that's just always so terrified of the big bad world outside. And we see it as the enemy, as this dark and nasty part of us that just wants to be rude and mean and evil. And it's not true. I like to think of my ego as this scared little bunny rabbit in a corner, little fluffy bunny rabbit that's just a little bit scared of everything that's going on outside. And everyone thinks that the ego is this thing that we need to get rid of and we need to shun out of our lives forever, which is a real big shame because it's actually a really great indicator for some stuff, which I'll talk about in a minute. Now, with the ego, unfortunately, one of the beliefs that people have is that one day our ego is just going to disappear. If we become enlightened enough, if we become healed enough, if we do all the work, that we won't have an ego anymore and we won't have a voice that comes into our head saying, what are you doing? What's this? You're not good at that. We think that that's just going to disappear and go away. And maybe if you are a Buddhist on the top of a mountain, maybe. But I think if you are always going to be expanding and growing and you're stepping into your highest timeline, you're moving forward on who you came here to be, your ego is always going to be there and it's there for a reason. And it's learning to love and have compassion for and befriend your ego, rather than thinking that it's an enemy and it's something that shouldn't be there. And we tend to try to fight against it, and we should really be working with it. But yeah, there's that belief that one day it's just going to disappear if we do the right amount of healing and if we get things together energetically, that it's just going to fade away. And the belief on the flip side of that is, if I still have an ego, if I've been doing all this healing work and my ego is still coming in and telling me I'm no good, or scaring me in some way, then I must have missed something. There's healing that I haven't done. And then what we start doing is diving into we sort of end up making healing problems where there weren't any. We just think that there should be something there because our ego is talking to us in a more negative way. But like I said, the ego wants to keep us safe. It's not about it wanting to make our lives bad. It's not a part of us that's evil and is wanting us to stuff everything up. It's just coming from this space of it sort of dives into our files, right? It dives into our archives. And so if we're stepping forward to do something, our ego goes into those archives and goes, hang on, the last time you did this, this is what happened. This person yelled at you and this person got angry at you, or you fell off that and and you hurt yourself, you broke your arm. So it's just kind of diving into the archives of your life and past lives too sometimes, diving into those akashics to just warn you of the dangers that have happened before. And, it's a thing that we have had, I'm sure, from, having to run from lions and tigers and bears, oh my, in the past as well. It's looking out for us. So the ego just basically wants to keep us safe, and it kind of shows up in they're very subtly different, but from what I've noticed in my experience and talking to others, it shows up in two kind of different ways. And one is just talking to yourself because something isn't safe, because maybe you were judged before, somebody left you, you were abandoned. So in those kind of ways. But then the other way it comes up is in self-sabotaging talk. So like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, whatever it is that's coming up. So it sort of comes up in those two subtly different ways. But what happens is, I've noticed when my ego kicks in and starts doing this, to me now I use it as an indicator, because it's a very, very good indicator that you are about to up level. When you are about to do something that changes your trajectory, that is going to shift you sort of onto a higher timeline, that's going to really elevate your frequency and ascend you in that frequency, that is when that ego comes in, because you are about to make a major shift. You're about to do something that is really going to change the way you are living. And like I said, change the trajectory of whatever situation it is that you are in, usually for the better, right? So moving into those higher frequencies. So this is where you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. And this is where you've got to really start learning how to talk to your ego. So let's say you want to go for a job, and there's sort of like a promotional. So you work inside your office, and maybe the managerial position of that office space has come up for grabs, and you really, really want to do it. You're really getting the intuitive nudge that this is for you and it's something that you want to do. What's going to happen is, as you start to write that cover letter and as you start to do up your resume ready to hand it in, your ego is going to come in and go, all these people in this office, they're not going to like you if you're their manager. You're friends with them all. Maybe better stay where you are, because once you get that managerial position, none of them are going to talk to you anymore. They're not going to like you. You're going to be their boss, and yeah, it's not going to work out very well. They're going to be, thinking, oh, who's she to take the managerial position, so all these things start coming in like that. But the self-sabotage comes into that ego self-sabotage of, I don't think you're actually really qualified for this job. What makes you think you're smart enough to be able to manage this whole office? So all of those thoughts starts coming in. So what usually happens now, people freak out and they don't bother. They don't bother putting their resume in. They allow that voice to get in, to consume their energy. Maybe they start going, especially if you're on your healing journey, maybe you start going, oh, I've still got to work on until I've worked more on my self-worth and my self-love, then I'm not going to bother, because obviously there's still healing work that I have to do. No, 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 no. Stop. What we're going to do is we're going to learn to listen and hold space to that beautiful voice that's trying to help us. So we talked a little bit last week about holding space and non-attachment to healing that comes up. And this is just another form of healing. So think of your ego when you're going into a situation of healing, and you get strong emotions coming up and you want to hold space for those and work through those. Your ego is exactly the same. All it's doing, it's just an aspect of a way of healing that is coming up for you to show you, to where things are going on for you and the negative thoughts that are within you. That's all it's doing. So all you want to do is you want to hold space for that voice. So what I like to do is I like to just listen to it. And this happens to me all the time, you guys. And I've got like a lot of mentors who are on their ascension journey, who are pushing boundaries and trying to make, their lives and the lives of others better every single day. And this stuff doesn't stop for them. You think of the people who you really admire and look up to, like Gabby Bernstein or Reagan Hillier or any of those guys, Louise Hay when, she was here, and Brene Brown. They all have this stuff come up. Just because, they seem to be like have made it, it doesn't mean that they're not healing, because they're still pushing their own boundaries. They're still elevating their own frequency every day, every month, every year. And so this stuff is still going to come up for them. So just really learning to hold space for your ego as it comes up, because it's never going to stop as you're walking your ascension path. If you haven't also listened to the episode about the cycle of ascension, it goes around and round and round every time we ascend our frequency. So learning to hold space and just listen to your ego, just let it go. Let it have a rant. And what I like to do sometimes too is actually, as it rants to me and starts going, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, I write it, I journal it out, get it all out on paper. So it's all out of me, it's all out of my body, it's all out of my energy, and then I can move on with what I was doing. So really listen to your ego when it starts coming up to do this. So let's say you're going to put this resume in, and like I said, your ego is saying, oh, it's, everyone in here is going to judge you, they're not going to like you anymore because they're boss, and you're not smart enough to do this anyway, you've got no experience, you don't know what you're talking about. Just allow it, just listen to it with a little smile on your face, with love in your heart, and just listen to that voice. Listen to that poor little scared little voice. You can picture it as like a little toddler or a little gnome, whatever it is, just sitting there ranting and raving. And just say, I hear you. I really hear you, and I see you, and I feel you, and I can see how scared you are. I can feel how scared you are. But you know what? We've got this. We're all good, and we are more than capable of stepping into this job. We are more than, in this example, we're more than capable of stepping into this job. We're more than capable of handling, whatever it is anyone throws at me in here, and understanding that, if they have an issue, they can come and talk to me. If they've got a problem with it, that's on them. That's not me. This is my journey. This is my life. This is what is in the highest alignment for me. And, if that's the way they're going to behave, then we're going to have to deal with that when it comes to it. So just talking that out, talking it through, and then keep writing that resume and hand it in, because 9 times out of 10, it's that the action stops. And so once you've had a chat to your ego and you said, sweetheart, and showed them what's going on, talk to them about what's going on, continue in that very moment to finish that resume and go and hand it in, because it's that action that changes the trajectory then, and it's that action that changes the energy, and that shows the universe and shows your guides and shows, soul and source self that you're serious about moving forward on your journey, that you're serious about, aligning to your highest timeline and aligning with what's right with you. And then they send you more. They send you more cool stuff to do and to have in all aspects of your life. So that's how we talk to the ego. And like I said, it's never going to go away. It's never going to go anywhere. And the more that you want to step into ascension and up level everything that you're doing, then, you're going to have to learn how to talk to the ego properly and to talk to it with love and compassion and meaning. So I hope that's all made sense for you today. It's a quick one today in just talking to that ego, realizing that it's not going anywhere, learning how to talk to it, understanding that when it comes in, it's because you're about to up level. And so actually take that as oh, wow, like awesome, like there's a big shift coming, and actually get into that expansive energy of excitement and something cool's coming. And just hold space for it, journal it out if you have to, listen to that ego, let it know that you hear, I hear you and I love you and I see you, but we've got this and we're going to do it anyway. Yeah. So, quick one this week, but I hope that all makes sense. If you have any questions, you can always just email me or get onto the DMs in Instagram. I'm usually on at Hayley_Hughes224, or come and check out the Awakening Collective and our membership, where we talk about all of this stuff all the time. I will see you soon. Have an amazing week. Bye.